Welcome to the Viking Horn, official podcast of the Nottingham Vikings Ball Hockey Club, sponsored by the Nottingham legend, Maxi Muscle Sports Nutrition, Motorpoint Car Buying and the Stapleford Snooker Club. You can find out more about our club on our website and on all social media. For YouTube channel viewers, you'll see the links on screen. Anyway, let's sound the Viking Horn. Hello everyone and welcome to the show. I'm Pete Allen and I'm joined by Mike Lee, Andy Binns, Tyrone Anderson and Vikings head coach Benny Tring. We have two special guests for us this week, Vikings defenseman Aimee Thorpe and forward Kev Wilding, who are here to talk to us about their respective Great Britain call-ups and get involved in our discussion, which this week revolves around the Man of the Match award in ball hockey. All that and more to come, but first we'd like to pay our respects to Dame Vera Lynn, who sadly passed away this past week. Her music was instrumental in keeping morale high during World War II, and has also been used as a sign of positivity in the tough times we have found ourselves in during the coronavirus pandemic. Vera, who is one of Britain's sweethearts, sang "We'll Meet Again," and those words couldn't have more relevance both during World War and times we're in now. The Nottingham Vikings' thoughts are with Vera, her family, and all that knew her. How's everyone doing? Good to see you all here. Yeah, so, first things first, I need to apologise to the Ball family. So, last podcast we did our top line, and I happened to insinuate that they had more than two children that played ball hockey. Both Reese and Dan both jokingly got in touch with me, reminding me of the fact I did know what I'd done after straight away. I thought I might have got away with it, but I definitely didn't. But they were very nice. They were very polite about the podcast, and we had a good laugh about it. So just reiterating the fact they're a great bunch, great family, and thanks for reminding me you only had two sons, Diane. Right, so moving on. So I need to tell you guys this story, okay? It involves me and a spider at work. I don't know if it's funny. I don't know if it's to take it seriously or not. Different emotions were going through my head. I got a bit. So here we go. Basically, as you may or may not know, I work in a warehouse. I drive forklifts, and down the middle of our warehouse, there's like an aisle, barely big enough to fit two forklifts down. So I'm driving down, and all of a sudden I see on the floor this object, and I'm like, it's moving. So I look, it's this massive spider on the floor. So if it stays where it is, it's going to get crushed by one of the forklifts, or someone's probably just going to walk over it, not knowing, you know. So I get off my forklift and I think to myself, right, we need to get it out of here, because one day or another it ain't gonna last. So I stopped all proceedings in the warehouse at my end. I said, made people aware that it's there, got people, but how can we get it out of here? There's a fire exit we can take out of. So we didn't have a cup or anything to put it in. Okay, we didn't have a cup or anything. So best thing we did was we got an A4 piece of paper. So I'm spending time with this A4 piece of paper, trying to get it to walk on the piece of paper to get it out. After about 5 or so minutes, it finally succumbed to what I was trying to achieve, and it got on the piece of paper. So I bring the piece of paper out, hold it in front of me, take it all the way out to the fire exit, and I put it on the floor, okay, ready for it to walk off. Now, as I go to the ground to release the spider, I bend over a little bit, right? And then what I actually forgotten all about was the fact I had a stapler in my top pocket, right? And as you can imagine, I've bent over, the staplers fell out my top pocket, and you probably know what the rest of the story is going to say. It's landed on top of the spider, and it's got a bit of an headache. And I felt really bad because we'd made through all that effort to try and save this spider. And then I got it outside, which was what the achievement was trying to be. And I've ended up knocking it out of a stapler.
And giving it a person.
Yeah, and you know what? I felt really bad. I didn't check. I thought I put it to the side, and it was like spasming. One of its legs was spasming, and I you know, chances are it probably died. But the weirdest thing about it was the next day, I'm driving down and an almost identical spider has done exactly the same thing. This is a true story. And it's like, well, it can't be the same one, 100%. It's probably its wife looking for it because it never came back the night before. But I managed to get that one out safe. I had the stapler in the top pocket at the time, and I took that out just for safety reasons. Obviously, because I didn't go. You learn from your mistakes, don't you? But you know, I thought I'd share that story because it happened a few days ago, and mixed emotions. I tell you, 1 minute I'm a hero, next minute, well, you know, what have I done?
Yeah. To be fair to you, Pete, you've had a pretty busy few weeks, haven't you? So, and in fact, thinking about the last few weeks, how's it been in terms of keeping up with the Allens?
Well, we've moved house finally. So this was ongoing from November/December. I can't remember the exact time, but we finally moved house. It's been the longest, draining, most tiresome event I can ever imagine, to be honest with you. I know people have moved house before and they reckon it is quite a stressful situation, but you throw in a pandemic with that, and then you go in, they delay it, and you've got things, you've got your buyer wanting to move in, and you've got everything that goes on around it, and you're trying to get information, and then your solicitors and everything go, like, they're not working anymore or whatever. It's been an absolute nightmare. And then the day we actually moved was probably the hottest day you could imagine. And I moved into like a townhouse, so it's 3 stories. So we're there like carrying sofas and cabinets and everything up these stairs on the hottest day possible. It was an absolute nightmare, but we love the house. It's a lovely place. Like, Benny was meant to be helping out, but decided to go and do his leg in. So I'd rather he just said he didn't want to get involved rather than have to do that. But we got there in the end, and it was a good. We loved the house. The only downside is the cats decided to start peeing at the front door. So we're trying to teach her not to do that, but we're getting there now. So it's got like them rough mats, that you normally get at the front of your house. It's got that inside as you go inside the front door, and she keeps peeing in there. But we've gone a week now about it, so I think we've trained her out of it now, so she's all right. But yeah, it's been busy and stressful. That was the tip of the iceberg, really. Moving house, it was.
So what prompted you to put the status the other day? Then it was it the first time you'd had spaghetti and meatballs or something? Exciting post of the day.
Yeah, so it was. Well, I put hashtag pointless post of the day or something like that. I just thought, you know what, it might get a bit of reaction because spaghetti and meatballs is quite a popular dish with a lot of people, and people like Tyrone and Benny, who know me really well, will tell you I'm not the most let's say extravagant or much of a journeyman when it comes to eating. I had my first pasta when I met my wife about 5-6 years ago. So I've not had a pasta dish until I was 28. And so yes, but you know what it is, right? If I'm given a choice of something, do you want to try this tonight, or do you want burgers and chips? Right? I'll always choose the one that I know I like. Where realistically, I know something like meatballs and pasta is just like spag bowl, but the meat's in a ball. And it came to a point where I was around mother-in-laws, and they said, right, we're making this. I was like, oh, go on then, right? And I had it, and it was delicious. I'll have it again. It was, but yeah, I used to have plain burgers down the fair. I used to go to the fair with Tyrone and people like that, and Tyrone will tell you, I didn't even have ketchup. I'm a ketchup fan now, but I never used to have that. I've broadened my horizons a lot more in recent years. That's down to my wife and that. But yeah, went a long time just eating chicken and chips and things like that.
Beans.
Oh yeah, beans of every dish. Yeah.
Yeah. So just for Kev's benefit, you are on the right show. We are going to talk about hockey in a minute.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was MasterChef or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we can always introduce a new segment down the line, can't we? You know, it might have started something there.
Pete, you might end up being a cardboard cutout in a meatball and pasta place one day. I think someone on there was a cardboard cutout at McDonald's, weren't they, at one point?
Yeah.
That was me.
I mean,
that was me.
And, you know, if any chefs or individuals want to send me dishes for me to try, then feel free to do so. Maybe we could do it live on a podcast at some point.
Blatant sponsorship request.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all we can report on Keeping Up with Allens. So hope you all enjoyed. Pretty pointless, but there we go. We always update you, don't we? Okay. So we're going to go.
Sorry to interrupt, mate, but I thought you'd had your own theme tune by now. You know, where's it in the introduction? Where's that?
We're working on it.
We're working on it. Yeah, I think we're looking for the right vibe. It can go one way or the other. Most of the time we do it. Sometimes it's more serious than others. So I think Mike and the team are looking for the right vibe to maybe play in the background of me talking about it. It's all a load of gibberish, really. I doubt anyone really cares, but you know, we thought it'd be a good addition to the podcast just to fill a bit of time. But it's probably took up too much time now. So shall we move on to our man of the match discussion?
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Right. So the past week, we've told everyone this podcast, the main event, so to speak, is going to be discussing the man of the match and how it's given out in ball hockey. What do we think of it? Could it be changed? Blah, blah, blah. Mike, over to you. I think you've received some stuff off Facebook.
I have, yeah. We've had a couple back on Facebook, and I'll read them out word for word. The first one is from Darryl Clark. Never afraid to post his comments. He said he's never got one, man of the match. He's never even had a sniff at getting one, and he reckons it's all political. And the follow-up to that is from Mansell Wood, who said he's not a fan of man of the match, and he reckons that often little thought is put into it by the opposite team. So what's your thoughts for either of those?
I'd agree.
When Daryl's saying political, like, where do we think it's coming from? Benny, let's go to you on that.
I think a lot of it is probably favouritism. He may feel as though it's given to someone who is like really good friends with the opposition. Maybe that's probably where I'm thinking he's going with that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Interesting. So let's think about, you know, how it's given out. Is it given out by the right people? Should we be relying on someone from the opposite team to give the man of the match out?
I think half the problem is who's actually spending enough time watching the game to make a really informed decision.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I personally feel like it should be someone on the sidelines picking man of the match, because as a player and as captain, I'm the one that people come over to often at the end of a game and say, who's your man of the match? At which point I'll go to Kev and Ben Inglis, who's the assistant captain, and we have a quick discussion and decide who it might be between us. Sometimes Benny gets involved as well. But I'll be honest, when I'm playing, I'm not really taking much notice of the other team and what they're doing and who's scoring the goals. I'm not really interested. Like, I'm more interested in my players and what we're doing. So it's a bit of an unwanted thing to have to do at the end. I feel like someone at the side, maybe a scorekeeper, could be keeping an eye on that. I'm not saying it should be always down to whoever's got the most points. I know a lot of the time, I think it is, or it might well be. But you know, if someone scored a hat trick, they might get it. Not in my case once, which I'll go into in a minute. But you know, I just think someone is probably more qualified to do it who's watching the whole game, and they've got the score sheet in front of them, or there's a couple of individuals who can then look at it, but you know, and take a bit more from there. I also think, you know, should we have a man of the match on each team, or does a man of the match, should there just be one man or person of the match of the whole game?
Has it just sort of died out then? I mean, we were doing it like a few seasons ago. Is it just sort of some of the teams aren't bothering now, or what's actually
I don't know.
happened?
I don't know. I mean, like I think Darryl was touched on, is much thought going into it based on what I just suggested? Like, are they really paying much attention to the opposition and what they're doing? If that's the case, then I completely understand, because that's how I see it. So they might just pick an individual out just off knowledge. They know them. They might know they've not had a particularly bad game, and they've done enough to merit the. I just want to go. I'll go into my example, I think, so about this, because one of our guests is deeply involved in this, and for everyone listening or watching, it ain't nothing to get. So you don't play to get man of the match. Okay, that's I think that's a given. You don't pay to get man of the match, but I have sometimes questioned how it's given out, and like if you deserve, you sometimes feel like you might have deserved a man of the match award, but then you don't get it. So we were playing this game. Aimee was my D partner, okay, and I can't remember who it was against now, if I'm honest with you. It was a season or 2 seasons ago, and I think it was quite. We were running the score up a little bit, if I'm honest. It was quite a high scoring game, and me as a D man, you know, I do get forward a little bit, but goals still come quite rarely for me. I don't score many goals really, but this particular game, I scored a hat trick, okay, and I finished at the end, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, the people are discussing man of the match, and as I'm trying to choose my man of the match, I'm thinking, oh, I might be in with a chance with ours. I scored a hat trick. I'm a D man. You know, you don't get that very often. And they actually awarded it to Aimee, who's my defensive partner. I don't recall how many points you got, Aimee. Was it? How many points did you get? Do you remember?
Maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which you know, again, I'm not disputing the fact. I'm not begrudging Aimee the man of the match. I'm just thinking, you know what? I mean, we as a defensive pairing, I think we kept a clean sheet, which is great. So we've both done our job. And now I'm just thinking, oh, right, at the end, you know, I'm just thinking, and man of the match is, you do take a bit of pride from it as an individual. You play for the team, but then when you get man of the match, so you do take pride. So, Aimee, I just want to ask you, were you surprised at all to receive the player of the game? I'm saying player of the game because, you know.
Yeah, I think for me, we both, like you said, we were on the same line. We were working together. We were doing everything well together. And then you came out with the more goals. So kind of, I know it's not all about goals, but you kind of look at the scoreboard there and you're like, well, he's got more. So out of those 2, realistically, it would go to Pete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they just lucky goals?
No, they were good goals as well.
Absolute screamers.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I might have got an assist as well. So I think I might have came out of that game with 4 or 5 points, when I'm looking back. And it was just one of them where I thought, well, have they thought about it enough? You know, because a man of the match performance, I'm thinking of this a bit more deeper now. A man of the match performance in a season to an individual might be it might give them the lift that they need as an individual to up their game, that bit of confidence. You know, I'm not thinking about me necessarily here. You know, a man of the match can mean a lot. And I think it just goes back to my point regarding who's choosing it. Part of me thinks, mate, what about a referee? But then they've got a lot to look out for as well. So I'm just thinking someone at the side maybe can, you know, recommend who man of the match could be, whether that's to both sides, or do we just have one? Whether that's an idea.
Has anyone else had any hard luck stories like that as well then?
Well, I've actually got one.
Yeah.
Go on, Aimee.
Yeah. It was an ice hockey game, and it was the first game. It was like our very first game as a team together. And I scored the very first goal. So I was like, right, that's how they usually do it. That's kind of what they look at. I'd been told I'd played well that game. I felt like I played well that game. And then the other team, it was just one of the random players had to pick it. And they just picked a name that they knew.
Yeah.
And I was, so, yeah.
Yeah, I think...
It's a bit like that in ball hockey as well, isn't it? They kind of just pick a name they know.
Yeah.
Rather than actually look at who's done the most damage or stopped you from doing the most damage.
Yeah.
Which I find quite interesting with ball hockey. Do we think it means a lot in its current form, based on our opinions of man of the match? Does it feel like it? Does it have any meaning to it at the moment, or does it just kind of go, "Well, look, you got man of the match, well done"?
It should definitely take more meaning. I don't think it means as much at the minute, based on how it seems to be given out, and there's no sort of prize either. But I mean, I actually got, when we put this out in the week, our very own Ben English got in touch with us with a story. So if we cue the music, guys. So, as most of you are probably more than aware, I, as a player, never would get recognised as man of the match for a few reasons. Main one, probably, I love spending a bit more time in the penalty box than on the court. And the fact that I'm a defenseman, never normally showing a great deal of offence. But there was one occasion, I'm pretty sure it was the game after Pete's unrecognised Hattie, and we laughed very much about it. So, as new men, we also weren't always the most recognised, but this game was different. Not sure who it was against now, but it was probably the best offensive game I've ever played. It's a big deal for me to get one goal in a game, to be honest, but in this game, I got a hat-trick. This was huge for me. I came off the court at the end of the game thinking, yes, I've got my first man of the match in the bag. The 3 goals paired with, dare I say, a shutout, so obviously had a decent defensive game. Also, I was sure I had it in the bag. But no, it was not meant to be. I was gobsmacked to find out that either Billy or Matt got the man of the match. I just looked at Pete and I could not believe it, and we both just burst into laughter. Some things just aren't meant to be, I suppose. So I'm still on my quest to get my first man of the match. Heartwarming stuff from Ben English there, I think we'll all agree.
Heart-wrenching.
No,
He'll probably get next
sounds
one
like
now.
a desperation attempt to me.
Yeah, he'll get next man of the match.
Yeah, there's some potential bribery by other teams listening to our podcast. Some potential bribery and some confusion can be sent out of who they actually give it to going forward, because we're putting out a good claim. But I think he has a point as well about the defensive side of the game, because defensemen, I don't think, get enough recognition when it comes to that decision. You know, you're not up there. Your job's not to be up there scoring goals, really. You chip in with assists and goals where you can, but you know, you're just there to block shots and do what you can to stop goals going in. That's your primary job. So
it is probably easier to give it to a forward where you can see them getting the points on the assists and the goals. The D-men you kind of look at the shots that they're getting on the goal and what they're blocking compared to what's going in.
Yeah,
but that goes for the goalie as well at the same time.
Speaking of easy to hand out, I think it's either going to be a forward or a netminder. Benny, you feel quite strongly about the whole netminder thing. Can we share your opinion? No.
Well, you did say a minute ago that when you discuss man of the match, I think I know us as a team, we definitely try and discuss man of the match for the opposition and try and give it to the most deserving person. And you'll know this as well as Kev and Ben, but when I come over and you're like, Ben, what do you think? Who should get the man of the match? My first thing I say is anyone but the goalie. I absolutely hate goalies getting man of the match. For me, it's one of those things where it's gone, we haven't paid attention because we've been playing our own game, so let's give it to that bloke over there who's had to get the most kit on. And I had a quick look at the stats for last season's man of the match, and although they were a little bit incomplete, I actually found out that a goalie got man of the match 42 times in a season. So think about how many games are played in a season. goalie's got man of the match 42 times. I've never seen a goalie deserve man of the match once in all of my ball hockey career. So how did they get it 42 times in one season?
Right, so this will be a brilliant time, I think. So brilliant time to bring in an interview we did earlier in the week with Joel Linley, who played his first game of ball hockey, first game for the Vikings, and he played it in net against Hull in our very last game that we played. We lost the game, as we all know, but Joel was given man of the match, and we spoke to him about it earlier in the week. Joel, thanks very much for joining us. So you had your first game last time you played, both for the Vikings, and actually it was your first ever game as a netminder as well. How did you feel when you were given the Vikings Man of the Match award?
Well, it was my first ever game of ball hockey, just ever. So it was an experience anyway. I was given man of the match as netminder. I mean, we lost game 7-4. Obviously new to the game, I didn't really know what to expect, but it did fit. It did feel not as like a pity vote, but like it felt as though they gave it me just because it was my first game, sort of thing, and it was nice to get that player of the match award. But obviously, I felt like it wasn't deserved as such. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you touched on the fact that you lost the game. Did the fact that you lost the game as well, and you're on the losing side, do you feel like it felt less in that sense as well than if you'd have won the game and you've been given the man of the match award?
Yeah, I think obviously if we'd have won. If we'd have won the game, then obviously I'd have done my job to the best of my ability, and we would have let in less goals on the other side. So therefore, I mean, if we'd have won the game, the man of the match thing would have probably felt a bit more deserved. I mean, there was a few players that I did notice that played quite well on both sides that particular game. So it's down to opinion, really, isn't it? I guess. To what the opposition thought who was the most valuable member of our team, I guess. But you played that game, like there were a few players that sort of stood out, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, I look at it from another angle. Let's say, so you say you let too many goals in, so you didn't deserve man of the match because you lost the game. Yeah. However, the defence in front of you also allowed those goals to go in as well. They didn't stop the shots. The forwards, on the other hand, as a team, didn't score enough goals. So, you know, how would you react to that? So, the man of the match at the time has to go to someone. And would you say, would it necessarily be a pity vote? Because, you know, you have to take these things into consideration that you're new to the game, your first game netminder, the opposition knew that. So were you saying it was like easy choice? Would that choice have maybe been made before the game even started if you had a half-decent game?
Yeah, like I think we don't know, but maybe regardless of what the score was, maybe they were going to give me the man of the match anyway, you know? Maybe they'd already decided after we almost forfeited the game, and obviously ended up not because I stepped in. So maybe they'd already decided that they were going to do that anyway. You know, I mean, it is a bit of a sort of grey area, really, because it might have been they might have genuinely thought that I'd had a really, really good game, which, you know, I mean, I can't deny that. I feel like I had a good game. Yeah, we lost, but I feel like personally I achieved something. So it's very subjective, isn't it? It's very
100%. Yeah. So, what would you like to see change with the Man of the Match award? Obviously, with this situation, especially, is there something you'd like to see change? How it's given out?
It's different. I mean, it could maybe be a bit more honest, should we say? A bit more sort of like if Don't be afraid to upset someone. Like, if I didn't get the man of the match, I wouldn't have been upset. Do you know? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, so you're saying you don't play to get man of the match. It's
no one plays to get the man of the match. Definitely not. I bet it was a nice gesture.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you played really, really well, and the fact that it was your first game, we mentioned in the very first podcast we did that you joined us, you did really, really well. You couldn't have done more. Yes, you might have had a couple back, but in the situation, yeah. So it's like you say, it is a grey area, and that's why we're actually going to be discussing it. So last question then. After hearing of the decision by Hull to award you the man of the match, it was reported coach Benny Tring was seen frothing at the mouth in anger due to his views on netminders getting the award. Do you have a message for him on that?
I mean, if he was here, I mean, it might have been a different sort of message. But, you know, I mean, if he didn't think that I deserved the man of the match, then that's entirely his opinion. You know, he's our man of the match, Pete.
Yeah, he's entitled to his opinion. I'm sure he's going to expand on it anytime soon. But Joel, thanks for joining us. Great answers. And we hope to have you back on the podcast again soon. All right, mate?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
No worries. Thank you. Benny, your response, please.
It was his first game and he conceded 7. 7 goals does not get you man of the match. If we've lost the game, you've conceded 7 goals, you do not deserve man of the match.
He had a few good saves, though.
He had a few
How many
good
saves,
saves.
though, did he get?
He didn't know about him, but he had a few good ones.
He did have a few good saves, but there was forwards who had a few good shots. There was D who made a few good blocks. There was other players out there that played better than him. He did not deserve man of the match. And when I went and questioned a Hull player as to why we gave it him, because I don't feel a goalie deserves it anyway, unless I've had a really stand-out good performance, they said it was his first game, so well done to him for stepping in. What utter is that? That's just nonsense. I'll tell you what, let's just give it to the guy for doing timekeeping. Let's just give it to the ref. Well done, ref. You've had a great game. You could be man of the match on this one. Utter nonsense. Goalies should not get man of the match unless they have got a shutout as a minimum and at least 30 shots to get there as well. That's me.
Oh, strong words. So let me just go with this. So if a netminder had faced, say, 50 shots, let one in, and his team won the game, or even got a shutout, you're still sticking to the same opinion on that?
But a 50 shot and only conceding 1 goal is a pretty strong game. But how many games do you see that in ball hockey?
Well, I'm just saying, there might be that occasion. It might happen. So if that was the case, would you still stick to that sort of opinion, or would you say that's, you know, I hold my hands up now. He's had a great game. He deserves it.
I'd say if a team has given up 50 shots and we've still managed to pull out a win, the goalie absolutely at that point deserves it, because no team should be giving up 50 shots in the first place. So the 4 people in front of him have let him down and left him to hang out and dry. There is a lot of the times where goalies are left to hang out and dry in the league, but more often than not, they ship plenty of goals for doing it.
So would your prize then for man of the match to the goalie be Civitor then, Benny?
I won't give him anything. I won't even buy him a Civ.
Just to touch on, I mean, yeah, you know, for that game then, okay, which way would you have gone if you were the opposition picking one of our players? Because there's been a couple of occasions as well this season where I think one game we won, one game we might have lost. It might have been that game. And I'm looking at my line as a defensive line. I think we came out of it. We're only on the court for 1 goal that we conceded. Okay. So the rest of the goals, a team thing says, as a team we've conceded 5, 6, 7 goals, whatever. Okay, but my line, which I obviously focus on myself, only conceded 1 goal. But then, say if I've got Kev on my line, we've conceded 1 goal as defence, but then Kev scored a couple of goals on our line, then this is what I'm talking about from earlier, where if you've got someone on the side looking at this and keeping tabs on, an easy pick is either, you either pick Kev for scoring 2 goals because his defensive line of only letting 1 goal, so to speak, and he scored 2 goals. So if you're talking going individual about it and individual separating the lines, other lines are to sort of, they've conceded the goals. This is breaking it down to the extreme. Or do you give it to one of those defensemen who have been on the court and where another couple of lines have let in 5, 6 goals between them? This line have only conceded 1 goal. So if one of those D-men have either got an assist or a goal as well as letting in 1 goal, or let's say even keeping a clean sheet, then that's to me where that needs to be looked at and where the man of the match award is given more merit.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's one of the stats, or a couple of stats that aren't actually recorded, is your plus minus. What lines managed to achieve what plus minus, who contributed to the team effort more than others. It's something that's often overlooked, and it's something that I know I can see more of because I'm stood at the side watching, as kind of timekeeper. I just don't think it's fair to the game, not just to the players, but I don't think it's fair to the game that we just give it to anyone that hasn't really done much to deserve it. So in your scenario where you've only shipped a goal, but you've contributed to the offensive effort quite a lot, along with the forward line, for example, with Kev on it, I think those players should be put into a pool of people who should then be selected for man of the match. I don't know if we should go down an NHL route and go for a 3-star route instead. But I don't think we can go that far until we at least pick one person from one side properly.
Add to that, Benny.
Sorry?
In the Scottish Conference, we don't do a player of the game or man of the match or anything. It's kind of left down to the teams to do whatever they want for their players at the end of the day, which is quite interesting. It's something I've not really seen anywhere else.
That's another good point, because someone else actually got in touch via Facebook. Please forgive me, I've forgotten who it was now. But they mentioned they come off, they maybe don't feel like they got man of the match based on people not wanting to give the other player credit on the opposition team, even if he scored a hat-trick or whatever. But then he'll go off the court and he'll get the accolades of his teammates, coach, and that's all he needs. And to be honest, that I'd agree with that as well. And it's a really good point that he made. Again, I apologise for forgetting who.
Paul Sheard, I think it was.
Yeah, Paul, that's it. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, thank you, Mike. But I thought that was a really good point. If you get the accolades, like a lot of time, myself and others are on my line and other players in the team, we all give each other a high five at the end of the game. We tell each other how well we've done. It's a very positive changing room in victory or defeat. I think we'll all agree. We're told what we've done wrong, where we need to go and improve by the coach. But at the end of it, we all put our hands in and we're together and we tell each other how well we've done. And that I do like that. And I'm sure other teams out there like that as well. And when you feel like you've played a good game, whether you get man of the match or not, you'll probably get told that you have had a really good game. So that is another way of looking at it, I guess. Moving on to a different subject regarding man of the match now. We've been calling it man of the match. Now, it's obvious the game is a unisex sport, okay? Should we be calling it man of the match? Should it be called something else, player of the game? What are our thoughts on that? Tyrone, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, I think for myself, I think it should be player of the game because, anyone, can play ball hockey. So, why should it be classed as man of the match? Player of the match for me is the suitable way to go. And for our team. You know, we've got Aimee, who plays all the time. So why should it be classed as the man of the match? Because, you know, it should be player, in my view. Totally think that. I totally think we shouldn't have man of the match anymore. It's not necessary. It doesn't need to be called that.
Andy?
Yeah, I agree. It should be either player of the game or spirit of the game, something along those lines. Just to try and make it a bit more balanced on the equalities and stuff for it. I think spirit of the game as well, like, kind of adds that extra touch to why you're giving it away or giving it out.
Yeah. So Aimee, being you are the only female on the team. There are other females obviously playing in the league above us and below us, obviously, and in league teams in our league. Is this something that concerns you? Like it's called man of the match, or are you just happy to get on with it and as it is?
Yeah, for me, I've always kind of been the only girl on my team, unless it's an all-women's team. And they'll call us, they'll just be like, "Hey guys," or "Man of the match." It's just something you kind of, like you said, get on with. It's not something that really bothers me, but to make it more inclusive, it could be player of the game. It's not too much of a big deal.
I think the vibe I've sort of got is actually people within the sport already, it's not necessarily a big deal, but maybe it might be worth just changing it as an idea for people from the outside looking in.
Exactly.
We know,
yeah.
we're aware of this. We're aware of the times we live in. Man of the match, you know, you hear it everywhere in sports. Player of the game, man of the match. I don't know. I don't know if to come out in the right frame of mind. Like lady of the match, or woman of the match. It's probably it don't come off the tongue as well as man of the match. So it's just always called man of the match. But that's not saying it's right or wrong. I just think, my opinion is, it should be changed to player of the game, because we are a female and male sport. So man is suggesting it's played by all males, in my opinion. So it's an easy one for me. Player of the game, job done.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yep. Yeah, agree.
Good stuff.
What do we think about like awards? Do we think we touched on it a moment ago? I think Andy mentioned something about should we give a goalie a sieve? Is that, I know obviously that was a bit tongue in cheek, but do you think there should actually be a proper formal award, even if it's just to create a beer or a really novelty gift or whatever it might be? What are our thoughts on that?
I think it's a nice idea, but I think it'll fizzle out. I can imagine people doing it for the first few games, and then, you know, someone will say, "Oh, I ain't got anything," and "Oh, let's not bother." Going back to what Pete said, I wonder if it's just as meaningful just to have that award by name. So, you know, you've been selected. I think, you know, I wouldn't say no to a crate of beer. Obviously, I would at the moment because I'm in training for the new season. But, you know, I'd be as happy just for someone to sort of say, you know, you've been awarded man of the match. Well done. You've played really well today. And I'd be chuffed with that.
If it's recorded in the league, why don't the league at the end of the season have an award for the person that's got the most man of the matches or player of the game?
Well, it'd be a goalie, wouldn't it?
It'd be a goalie, yeah. 42 man of the matches.
Yeah,
They're not having that award. They're not having that. I'd run on and take that award off them.
At the moment,
I'm not having that award.
I would be all over. I would personally be all over a league presentation evening, for example. But let's just say, going on what we've already discussed, you know, we don't feel as a group here that it's really given out the right way at the moment. So at the moment, why would you give that out as a man of the match, as that trophy? I mean, you could have a league presentation night and not have that trophy. I understand that. But in terms of giving out that sort of award, you know, I think it's got to be sorted out and done the right way before we think of doing that. But there's an idea, a league presentation night. It'd be good.
Yeah, I think like you say, and I agree on that, until they get a bit more structure in how the man of the match is given out, it's not really cemented in, is it?
Yeah, exactly. And to go back to my point there, and what Mike was talking about regarding something fizzling out, it could be something the league puts in. So, you know, each team for every game, let's say a £10 man of the match award for the opposition every game you play. If you don't have that with you at the time of the game, then they receive it in cash or something.
Out of the coach's pocket, yeah.
Coach's pocket.
Yeah.
Look with that.
It's just an idea. Like, I think, that whichever sport you look at, there's always an award for man of the match. It's great when your name's read out that you've got man of the match. The 2 or 3 times I've received it, I felt great. But adding a prize would be awesome. But we're quite right in what we were saying before. To stop it fizzling out, you've got to have some sort of structure to it, and that can only come from the league as a whole, really, to say whether that's something that's top of their priority list. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced it is, and maybe understandably so. But if you're gonna change it, and maybe it is something maybe we can look at. I think
if you were to get all the other clubs on board with it, then it would be something that would be really good going forward.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, brilliant discussion. Loads of good points. So thanks for everyone for getting involved in that. Benny, we started our training back this past week, our outdoor sessions. Talk us through it, mate. How did it go?
We did, yeah. So due to current government guidelines, we are allowed to gather in groups, socially distanced by 2 meters, of course, and you're allowed to have 6 people together in those groups. So what we decided to do was run some outdoor coaching sessions, training sessions, fully understanding that people have been off hockey, off fitness, but on biscuits and chocolate and everything else. So we thought, why not start back at the beginning and run some back to basics hockey sessions. So last week we ran 4 outdoor hockey sessions, 5 on each session. So it was a pretty good turnout, and we started off with real basics of how to hold the stick and how to move the ball around your body, and then we started to build up from there. And there was a few interesting comments coming from players where they'd been playing the sport for many years and have only just really found out that they've been holding the stick wrong. Not going to name that name, but I think he might be hosting this podcast.
Not done bad though, have I? I've not done bad over the years. Let's be honest.
Not done bad. You did manage to get.
You might have got that man of the match.
Yeah,
maybe
the way you're holding the stick.
If I'd have got a toe drag goal in, I'd been all over it. It would have been an easy decision.
Yeah, absolutely. So these outdoor sessions they've been pretty well received. We're running some again this week, Tuesdays and Fridays, 2 sessions on each. Probably going to have to add more with the amount of interest we've got. And all we're doing is we're progressively building on the skills. So we've looked at passing, we've looked at stick handling. We're going to start to move over to positioning, so where would a forward and defenseman position themselves in different game scenarios. We'll look at shooting. And the whole idea is that when the season starts, should that be pressing play on the current season or just starting the next season and just writing off this one, whatever happens, as soon as that ball drops for our first game, we want to be making sure that we are the team that are the absolute fittest and the team that is the most ready to start to go and get those points back and start climbing that table. One of the things we have done, though, from a fitness point of view, is we had Dan Powell down from GNR8, who I know, Pete, you work quite closely with, so you probably have a better understanding as to what he does.
Yeah, so background to GNR8 and who's involved with GNR8. So GNR8 is managed by Dan Powell and Libby Clegg, MBE. It started off last year. We did a big camp in Leicester with about 80, 90 kids come down. A bit of a background on who Dan and Libby are. So Dan is a member of the Great Britain Judo squad and competes internationally all over the world. He's currently ranked 5th in the world and is qualified to fight in Tokyo, which is now 2021. He's appeared in Ninja Warrior, and as well as competing, Dan has a real passion for helping people succeed in their own health and fitness journeys. It was given, the GNR8 Academy was launched by him to give children and adults the opportunity to train both with him and other athletes. I guess I put myself in that. and learn from experienced professionals and me. He lives by a quote, which is really good, and it's obvious, but you only get out what you put in. It's an obvious quote, but it's an important one, and I think it's an easy one to forget as an individual when you're training. If you don't put in the work, you don't get out anything out of it. Libby Clegg, MBE, she received her MBE for services to athletics and charity. Her achievements include double Paralympic gold medalist in Rio 2016, Paralympic silver medalist from both London 2012 and Beijing 2008, and she'll also be taking part in the Tokyo 2021 Games. She's been on The Chase on ITV, and she most recently came third on Dance on Ice, which we all may not have seen. So as I've already touched on, GNR8 is aimed at offering sports mentoring, support and development, building resilience for children emotionally, mentally and physically through the medium of sport. It gives them an opportunity to learn also key life skills, to live a healthy lifestyle. And we're also doing adults fitness sessions where we cater for all individuals. It doesn't matter if you've got a sporting background or not, you just want to get fit. And we offer them training sessions where we try to achieve the goals that they set themselves, and we do what we can. And since we've started GNR8 last year, we've had plenty of people come down. They love it. It's good to see kids and adults getting involved. And they're working really hard and enjoying the sessions that we put on for them. And to be honest with you, for me, I got in touch with Dan when over a year ago now, and I was getting a sports massage from him, and I've mentioned to him ball hockey was the sport I played, and he was like really excited for me to explain what it was and things like that. And that's how I sort of got involved with GNR8 myself, really. And the plan is to bring ball hockey sessions to. We did it in the camp, and the kids loved it. We used like plastic sticks, but we used ball hockey rules. I explained to them what ball hockey was, and they were quite excited, and they ended up really loving the sessions we put on for them. And as Benny mentioned, we've just started. We've got a partnership now with GNR8 Academy, and to be honest with you, I can't thank Dan, Libby, and that enough for giving me personally the opportunity to work with those guys. And and as I said, we've had people coming down, kids and adults doing sessions. I've been running sessions for them, and I've met some really nice people. They're all spot on, and for me to be given that opportunity by them I've become quite humble really about it. It's not something I expected to be doing a year ago, but they're both amazing people, what they've achieved in life, and I couldn't really thank them enough, if I'm honest with you. It's been brilliant. And for the Vikings to have that partnership with GNR8, it is a privilege for the Vikings. And going forward, we will see the results, I'm pretty sure. But if I'm talking with my GNR8 hat on, and after speaking to Dan, it's definitely also a privilege that GNR8 are working with the Vikings and working with such a good group of people who have shown such willing to learn and fitness, and just get involved and getting fitter and learn ways to get fit. And that was just in a one session. We've got our next session coming up this Wednesday, and I think we're all looking forward to it, aren't we? It's a really good experience, and I can't wait for the guys involved to come down and see the gym that we've got down there. It's a good place that we've got set up, and like I say, we're in a good position. It's for both parties, GNR8 and the Vikings. It's a really good position to be in. So thanks for that, Benny. It's time to ask some questions to our special guests, I think. We have got Aimee and Kev, who recently got called up to their GB sides. Kev, you're for the Masters, am I right?
That's right, yeah. Old boys.
The old boys, yeah. And Aimee? You are, is it under 20s?
Yeah, 20s, yeah.
Brilliant. So we put it out there, as we do with all our guests, regarding if they've got any questions to bring your way. And we've got a good few here for you. So are you ready for the questions? Aimee, I'm going to come to you first.
Sure.
So what gives you the motivation to come and play ball hockey for the Vikings, knowing you have to travel from Scotland along with Matt?
Well, for me, I think knowing that I've got a supportive team gives me enough motivation in itself. Benny and I we had a good connection from kind of the moment we met. So having a good coach works well for me as well. We get to play well with some of the best ball hockey players and against some of them. So that's another positive for me. Having Matt come with me makes the journeys a lot more fun and definitely worthwhile. We both enjoy the road trips.
Brilliant. And how great is it that you have a mum who will bring you down and she gives you endless support throughout?
Yeah, having any good support base is pretty much the key to success. So it's amazing to have someone that will travel with me and support the team that I play for. It's just, again, it makes it a whole lot better for me.
Brilliant.
I've got a message from off of Facebook from Matt Munt for you, Aimee. How hard is it living with me? Sorry.
He's quiet in person, but despite that, he's probably one of the noisiest people I've lived with. And I've lived with a lot of North American teenagers. He's a great guy, and he's good at hockey, so we can just go out, take a stick and ball out, and that helps both of our games improve.
Brilliant. And same for you, from Matt, Kev. What's your goals for the Masters and the future in ball hockey?
When you said same, I thought I meant what's it like to live with
Yeah,
Matt?
I thought that as well.
I thought that's where it was going as well. Well, we covered it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's straightforward. It's the first time that the GB Masters have been invited to the World Championships. So it's just straightforward. I just want to make sure I do my part in showing that the team deserve to be there. I'm not necessarily looking at individual goals. I just want to show the world that we should be there, we deserve to be there, and this is what we can offer. And to be the first guys to represent, I think that's a big importance on the sport in this country.
Yeah. Back to you, Aimee. A question from your mum, actually. She said, coming from Scotland, how did you get involved with the Vikings? I know some of us know, but probably quite a lot of people don't. So.
Yeah, I was on the GB U13, U16 Lions trip in preparation for my first U20s, as I'd been in Canada. So I'd just travelled back from Canada, and I was there earlier than the rest of the team. So I stayed with Benny and another one of the coaches, Muzzy. We got to a bit of sightseeing, so I got to know Benny as a person, and I think we got on really well. And then his coaching style really fitted with me and how I wanted to be coached. So I think we just kind of worked it from there. We talked a bit about the commitment of getting to Nottingham, playing games, and that kind of thing. We worked that out, and then we got Matt signed up as well. So I think it's all been really positive and successful.
And that's, gents, that's how you get man of the match. Right.
It was a waste of time, that chat, weren't it, now?
Yeah.
So I've got one from Mansell Wood, who happens to be a goalie that also doesn't like getting goalie man of the match, but that's a separate thing. He's got one for Kev. He said, what is the best thing about Vets ball hockey?
I just love the balance between the competitiveness and the actual spirit out there. I mean, I've done quite a few of the veterans draft days and things, and every single time I've enjoyed it a hell of a lot. But more importantly for me, every time I play with some of these guys that have been doing it years, I always come away with something different. I always pick up the odd little bit, whether it's positioning, sticking or something. There's always something I've come away with thinking I've learned something. But when you've got that combined with a fun day, then it's a no-brainer, really. You've got to be involved in those days.
Nice, good. Mansell also had a question for you, Aimee. Is there anything different about ball hockey north of the border?
I'd say the hockey's more physical based rather than skill based, and I think the rivalries between some of the teams can get really heated, which can come for quite a fun game. If you've ever seen a Phoenix Ruckus game or a Phoenix Ducks game, you'll know how the games go.
Yeah, I've definitely been a part of a few of those, and it's definitely interesting to see those games compared to the ones we see. Good, thank you.
So another question from Facebook to both of you from a Mr. Matt Yago. So what makes a great line partner? So if we could start off with Aimee, please.
For me, I like someone who knows how I play and knows me as a person. Someone that's going to give everything in their shift and everything. They're going to stand up for their teammates and just kind of give everything they've got.
Brilliant. I definitely agree with that. And yourself, Kev?
For me, it's got to be a balance. You've got to have two players that complement each other's game. I mean, I don't like doing this in public, but I have to praise Benny for this one. I've been lined up with some good partners in years who have balanced my game against theirs. If you've got too much skill or too much people that just run around into the corners, you're not going to get anywhere. So you've got to have that understanding and compatibility. Otherwise, you're just not effective on court. And I think that's one of the big things for me. It's just understanding each other's game and what needs to be done.
Who is your current partner, Kev?
I don't know. Last time I heard it, I think the slot was vacant. It was some guy who travels around every team every year, I think, but he's not there now. I can't remember who it is, to be honest with you.
He's still on the transfer list, I've heard.
He's looking for a car.
Well, Kev, I couldn't agree with you more. It's all about a line partner. And for everyone, that is me.
I thought you looked familiar.
So, Kev, I do have a quick question for you, Kev. So, how much would you dedicate your GB call-up to your line partner, Tyrone, as he's just revealed?
Well, it's based on last season's line partner, isn't it?
So, yeah. But would you have you picked up any traits of your game from Tyrone that you've took to your trials and there you've got in? Do you owe him anything from
Not
this?
a single thing, mate. Not a single thing. No, in all fairness, me and Ty have started a pretty good relationship, actually. We've only played, 2 or 3 games?
Yeah,
I think 2 or 3. Actually, it's a shame he's left the club now, because it could have been quite a good little sort of unit between them. But oh well, maybe next year.
I guess the pair on these on these podcasts, you see, it's kind of put my name out there.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you both. We'll go with you first, Kev. Have you played with or against many of the guys or the people that are on the team with the GB team that you're going into?
Yeah, so like the days that we mentioned, the Bets days, I played with quite a few of the guys, or at least been part of games with them involved. There's 1 or 2 that I've never seen before and would need to sort of get to see their games. But no, I know most of the people, and a good bunch of guys, and looking forward to actually getting organised and getting lines together, partnerships, and working on them basically before next year's championships.
Brilliant. And Aimee?
Yeah, I know most of the team that I'm going on to play with. They brought in quite a few ice hockey players this time, so there's a few unfamiliar faces that haven't really played ball hockey before. But I'd say I've been involved in games with the majority of the players.
Thank you.
So, Kev, Aimee, I know you've actually been chosen for GB before. Kev, this was when you went to the trial. You obviously got in for the first time. You've gone for the trial. Was it a case of walking out at the end with a bit of a Vince McMahon walk out the door, saying "simple as, don't know what the problem is, I'll be in"? Or were you not? Was it one of them where you were pleasantly surprised when you got the call, so to speak?
No, I was pleasantly surprised, to be honest. There's some really good players out there, and I think I'm very lucky to be part of the squad. If I'm being completely honest, I actually went for the trials just to see what they were about, not necessarily with the aim of getting in on this year's championships. It was more for maybe a couple of years down the line and seeing what was involved, what level I need to get to. And just somehow. I don't know if everyone else was not available, but I think I must just be there.
And just off the back of that, Kev, what is the format? I mean, what did you have to go through as a trial day?
So you had to show your interest initially. Obviously, make sure you're where you want to go to the actual trials and you want to be part of it. Attended a couple of trial days pre-Christmas, and then just keep going to every single one. Have through a few fitness tests, a few on-court training sessions and scrimmages at the end, just to see, again, how your game is, how you play. And yeah, after about the first couple, I think we arranged a third one, and I got a little invite, and I thought, well, that can't be a bad sign if you've got an invitation to a trial. So yeah, I took that with that gave me an extra boost for that trial, and I came away, to be honest, I mean, as probably some of the teammates will know, I focus a lot more on the bits I've not done well rather than the bits I have done well during training. So I've mixed feelings coming off the court, thinking, have I done enough? Have I shown myself in a good enough light? And then when we got the sort of notification through a couple of weeks later, I was delighted.
So I just want to just go on what you're saying. This will go to both. If people that haven't played ball hockey before and they're on the outside looking in, you guys, both of you work or study full time. Okay, you go and play ball hockey, train once, maybe twice a week. You play a game when the world's back to normal. You'll go to work full time, college, whatever, studying. Then next thing you know, you're representing your country. And so there's an invite there for people who don't play the game. I'm not saying it's easy, but like we talk about how hard it is to be a professional footballer and let alone make it to play for your country. There is that, by having trials for GB, that is a really good way of getting people to represent their country, isn't it? Like, you might not know how good at a certain sport you are until you go to one of these trials, and then there you are, bish bash bosh, you're representing your country over in Czech Republic or Slovakia or wherever.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I actually got into the sport from a tweet from the Cat's Whiskers saying, is anyone interested, when the Reapers were originally set up? And I just thought, you know what, I've got to stick at home, let's go and have a go. And 4 years later, here I am talking about representing GB in a sport that I enjoy doing and I enjoy playing. And if you'd have asked me 5-6 years ago, I'd have thought you're absolutely insane, to be fair. So I think I mean, you never know what's going to happen, but you just have to give it a go. If you enjoy it, enjoy it. If you don't, you've lost nothing. And that's all I would say to anyone who thinks, should I attend, should I have a go? Just do it and see what happens.
Brilliant. Mike, last one from you.
Yeah, it was a question to Aimee, actually. And given that, obviously you've said it's the first time you've joined a GB squad, and Aimee, you've got a bit more experience. Is there any advice that you could give to Kev, being like a first timer with a GB team?
Yeah, I think I'd say just try not to think too much, maybe before a game, in the lead up to the championships. Just go out there and kind of do your thing. We already know what kind of player you are. You're really fast. You'll go out, you'll run, you'll give your all in every shift. Just go out, relax, keep yourself fit and healthy, and hydration. Hydration's one of the biggest things, I'd say. And just make sure you enjoy yourself and have fun.
Cool, thank you.
Will he lose any eyebrows on his first GB trip?
I have no idea what the guys' team get up to. I don't want to know.
And just to finish on for you, Kev, we did something pretty special last year, weren't it? Now I can't believe it was. We did the 3 Peaks Challenge. Few people have wanted to find out: am I a better ball hockey line mate or teammate, or am I better at climbing mountains with your? How was your experience? Let's go with that.
Yeah, I mean, ball hockey or mountain climbing, it's a tough one to call. I'm not sure which you're worst at, to be honest. It was good. I mean, it was certainly unusual. I mean, it's something that, same again, we never thought we'd probably do it, and we just thought, a pair of us had talked about it beforehand, and we said, oh yeah, let's just stick his names down, let's give it a go. And it was a really good experience. I mean, I've been, well, you can add your own word in here, whether it's unlucky or lucky to know you for a few years now. But I don't really know you that well. So to get to spend sort of 24, 36 hours going up and down mountains. It was nice to actually get to know you and your partner Lizzie at the time, and obviously Jamie for some of the trek as well, and just to understand your thoughts on ball hockey as well, understanding what we're doing. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it was. I think we gave each other a bit of motivation when we needed it, and yeah, I think it was really good. I mean, I don't know whether you remember the one memory that sticks with me quite intently is we're about an hour up the first mountain, and I think you'd borrowed some kind of insulation top from Lizzie's dad.
Yeah.
And let's just say is of a slightly thinner build than you.
Yeah.
I remember standard. Go on, sorry.
No, I was saying I was baking. I was preparing for cold. I wasn't preparing for warmth, and it was actually quite warm at the bottom of the mountain. And so I was there, and I'd probably walked 100 steps, and then I wondered why you and Jamie were so far ahead, and I was like and it was basically because I was sweating me, what off. But, and so I had to take that off. That was like clinging to me. It was like having a wetsuit on. Right. And
I was going to say, we're stood at the top of the mountain and people are walking past, and there's literally me pulling your head out of this wetsuit type top, getting it there was sweat flying everywhere, and it was just like
it was giving birth.
Yeah, I've got 23 hours of this. I was like, what have I let myself in for?
Yeah, we did redeem ourselves. I think I got my revenge a little bit at the top of Snowdon. You were generally a little bit worried about getting down there, weren't you?
Yeah, I wasn't going back down that way. Not a chance.
The icy slide, as we discussed on the last podcast. So I won't go into that again. But it was a great couple of days, and you're quite right. We had known each other a few years, but we didn't know each other that well, and that experience gave us the opportunity to get to know each other a lot. We spoke about a lot of ball hockey and things going forward, and it was a privilege to share that experience with yourself, Kev, and Jamie and my wife. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for answering your questions honestly and openly, and I guess I talk on behalf of everyone here, everyone at the Vikings, and everyone in ball hockey in general. We wish you and the rest of the Great Britain teams the very best of luck next year. Go and do us proud, which I'm sure you will, and we'll look forward to following you along the way with your progress.
Literally, we're coming.
Yeah.
Straight over from Minsk.
Yeah, straight from Minsk to the Czech.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. Right, before we finish up, Andy, a quick word on the youth coming to the Vikings.
Calling all juniors, do you want to get involved in ball hockey? We have an exciting opportunity for you to do this. Vikings are setting up a junior team, and this is perfect opportunity for you to pick up on your ball hockey career and be coached by and play alongside GB players and the coach. Who knows what you may even get into to represent your country in the future, like the two stars that are on the show for today. If you're interested, please get in touch with the Nottingham Vikings via Messenger. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Andy. And we have been getting more inquiries since the last podcast, haven't we?
Yeah, we've had quite a few people actually get in touch. Obviously, they're not wanting to get into it at the moment due to the social distancing restrictions, but they are really keen on getting up and going. So if any of them do actually want to get involved in the sessions that we're running on a weekly basis, they're welcome to. Just drop us a message and we'll see if we can get you in on some of those training camps.
Yeah, those sessions are currently for adults at the moment, but
right,
we're looking to see if we can get the numbers to expand that, obviously within social distancing guidelines.
Yeah.
So run some junior sessions as well. So, yeah.
Good stuff. Right, that's about all we've got time for. I'd like to thank the rest of the panel, the usual guys, for joining me for the podcast this evening. And again, a very special thank you to Aimee and Kev for joining us and answering the questions. And thank you to everyone for joining us and listening. Listen, rate and subscribe to the podcast on all your social media outlets. Like I said before, if you're interested in coming down and trying a bit of ball hockey, come down with the Vikings, please get in touch with us and we'll be happy to help you out and get involved with us guys. And yeah, we'll hope to see you very, very soon. Take care. Enjoy yourselves. Good night.